So it seems like the media is now officially on the side of Microsoft and Xbox, as this is the second article here from a huge mainstream publisher to talk about the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition in a positive light and really put the pressure more so on the regulatory bodies than Xbox themselves. And this has been a complete change if we take a look at everything that has happened over the last couple of months. A couple months ago, a lot of people had a less than 50% chance, thoughts that this deal would go through. Now most people and analysts and people looking at this deal are over 50%. So it's really taking a turn for the better if you're Xbox and Microsoft, and if you are looking at whether this deal is going to be going through or not. So here is an article here from Bloomberg. It's an opinion article from Chris Hughes, and it says UK has no margin for error in the Microsoft Activision deal. As we know, one of the main things the UK has come out and said is that there is no substantial lessening competition in the console market. And that's the main thing that Sony was trying to push. So they've lost that battle. Sony has completely lost the console market battle, as the CMA has said. Microsoft has no incentive to partially or fully try to foreclose PlayStation with withholding Call of Duty. Here's the article. It says the politics and PR surrounding Microsoft's $69 billion bid for video game developer Activision Blizzard are becoming increasingly delicate for the UK's antitrust regulator. The Competition and Markets Authority took a strident lead among global watchdogs in challenging the deal last year. Now it's backtracking. In March, the CMA significantly revised its provisional findings against the transaction published in February. It no longer reckons Microsoft would have a commercial incentive to withhold Activision games, principally Call of Duty, the violent first-person shooter franchise from rival Sony Group Corp's PlayStation console. The risk was that gamers would be deprived of choice and forced to switch to Microsoft's Xbox platform. Far from being a profitable strategy, this would be clearly loss-making in the regulator's new analysis. And I find the regulator's new analysis, I know I keep doing the quote things with my hands, but it's just, I find that their new analysis, I don't know how they didn't come to this right off of the bat. You could look at all the numbers, and the numbers would obviously prove the common sense, which the common sense was that with the install base of PlayStation, with the amount of money that is being made via the PlayStation Network with Call of Duty, business-wise, there's no way that Microsoft would want to take the game off of that platform. There's no way they would want to change the game in any way off of that platform, because the return on investment after paying $69 billion just wouldn't be there. In fact, it probably would take an extremely long time for Microsoft to make up that money that they would be losing if they were to take Call of Duty off of the PlayStation platform. I thought that was just like a common sense thing, but the regulators at first didn't see that and then have now come around to it. So kind of is like they had to push back against this, and it was eventually going to come to this conclusion, which they came to, which was no substantial lessening of competition, and that the console harm theory has been completely destroyed. And that's going to be a big win for Xbox and for Microsoft. It continues here and says such U-turns aren't unheard of. The CMA revised provisional findings relating to Amazon.com's stake in Deliveroo PLC in 2020, but they are extremely unusual. The UK investigation process allows plenty of opportunity for parties to air differences and argue over economic models. And that's what we did see after those provisional findings came out. Microsoft actually had the opportunity to present their economic models and their numbers based off of what the CMA had presented in terms of the substantial lessening of competition, the foreclosure strategies that Microsoft potentially could partake in. And CMA had originally said you can partake in these foreclosure strategies and you will be successful and it will be profitable for you to do this. And then Microsoft comes back, shows the reality of the situation, and then they have gone ahead and reversed their thoughts and decisions on the console harm theory. CMA launched its full investigation into the Activision purchase in September and published a broad summary of issues in October. The change of tack relates to new data received in response to their provisional findings, the CMA said. It's better to be inconsistently right than consistently wrong, and the episode shows the agency listens to those scrutinizing. Even so, it's strange that a flawed analysis survived so far into the probe. And that's what I just said, and I completely agree with it. me, it is very, very weird that they were going ahead with this flawed analysis for so long and pushing it forward so much so that they came out and put out their findings saying that this would cause PlayStation harm. It was a very weird thing to see, but luckily they took in all of the data that Microsoft provided them and then compared it and came to the proper decision. The CMA should be asking itself if there are lessons for future investigations. Where does this leave the deal? The UK always looked like the biggest hurdle, and not just because of its early concern. Post-Brexit, it's been differentiating itself when it comes to merger enforcement, in particular versus the European Commission. The CMA has a declared reluctance to approving worrisome deals by accepting so-called behavioral remedies. And that is one of the main questions a lot of people have is, will the CMA take those behavioral remedies that Microsoft has offered, specifically on the cloud side of things? And then also on the other thing they're looking at, which is the enforcement side of things. But specifically on the cloud side of things, all of those 10-year deals that they've offered to NVIDIA, Ubitus, Boosteroid, and they've even said, hey, PlayStation, you want Call of Duty and PlayStation Plus? You can have it day and date as well. And we're going to be offering a worldwide royalty-free license. Those are those behavioral remedies. And the question is, will the CMA go ahead and accept those, or will they want structural remedies for the cloud? It says here, essentially promises by the merging parties not to abuse their power. The impression has been that the UK would rather stop a deal or okay it without attaching strings, whereas the European Commission is more likely to identify issues and then apply constructive solutions. And the European Commission, from what we understand now, is that they are likely going to be approving this deal. The decision will be coming in a couple of weeks or a month or so. By May 22nd is the final date. And they are seemingly accepting the behavioral remedies across the board that Microsoft has offered. That's what it is looking like. I mean, those things could change. Maybe they get some new data, just like the CMA got new data for the console stuff and they changed their mind. But I mean, that probably is unlikely. It says Europe approved Meta Platforms' acquisition of software firm Customer only after agreeing to behavioral remedies, while the UK cleared it unconditionally in 2021. Yet the CMA has been much tougher in other situations. Last year, it blocked a combination of Konecranes PLC, I don't know if I said that right, with rival Cargotec Corporation, while the cargo specialists agreed to disposals that assuaged the European Commission. Microsoft's remaining task is to address concerns about the deal's impact on the emerging cloud gaming market. And as I've said, this is going to be, to me, probably the more important one, the more interesting one when it comes to their decisions on everything, because again, cloud gaming is in still its infancy. Xbox has set themselves up in a position better than any other platform out there, I believe, with Xbox Cloud Gaming and Xbox Game Pass, even when you're comparing it to things like Amazon Luna, which recently just launched in Canada and other countries. And then you look at Google Stadia, which completely shut down. You look at PlayStation and their streaming offerings, not very good. I mean, they weren't even able to really sustain or make PlayStation Now a successful product. They've just rolled everything into PlayStation Plus. But when it comes to the top tier streaming service out there where you sign up for a subscription, you get access to the latest and greatest games throughout the entire length of your subscription, Xbox Cloud Gaming is the leader. And they're going to look at this very hard because they're going to think that they're already the leader. How will this deal be used to make them pretty much be able to just destroy any other competition that tries to enter the market? I don't think they will be able to do that even with this acquisition. You look at a company like Google. Google Stadia had just as many resources. They have everything there to be able to make Google Stadia work. They just weren't able to do it as good as Xbox and Microsoft have been able to. And we'll see how Amazon Luna takes off, and we'll see what other players try to enter the market. But one of the main things Microsoft is doing here is offering those 10-year deals, which would be behavioral remedies. And we'll see if they want structural remedies, if those 10-year deals won't be good enough for the CMA. It says here, it's going out of its way to show it wouldn't restrict key Activision content to its own streaming platform, signing 10-year licensing agreements with rival gaming providers such as NVIDIA. These partnerships could help the takeover gain clearance, argues Bloomberg Intelligence litigation expert Jennifer Rhee. Given the European authorities appear likely to accept Microsoft's commitments, and the deal has the law and facts on its side in the US. But it does not have the FTC on its side. That's for sure, because they still haven't come to an agreement, and they may go all the way to court on August 2nd. Now, the CMA, one of the interesting things here is the CMA has to make their decision technically before the EU does. Because the EU has all the way to May 22nd now, and they're the ones more likely to accept the behavioral remedies. But the CMA has to decide what they want to do with the emerging cloud gaming market and whether they will accept those remedies. So they're not going to be able to wait and see what the CMA decides to do. The UK will need cast iron grounds to argue Microsoft's preemptive licensing deals aren't enough to address the danger that Activision helps the company dominate the cloud gaming ecosystem. Had the flawed provisional findings stayed unchanged, Microsoft could well have successfully appealed any ultimate block on the transaction, something that would inflict a big blow to the CMA standings. The agency needs to be 100% sure that the modeling underpinning its remaining doubts don't leave it exposed to the same risk. So there you have it. This is a interesting article, and I think, again, we will see in the next couple of weeks what's going to happen with the cloud side of things. I have a feeling, this is just a complete guess, my assumption, that they're going to go ahead and accept those behavioral remedies now that they've already gone and changed their opinion on the console side of things, which was pretty much just protecting PlayStation. And you're seeing smaller companies go out there and accept 10-year deals for Microsoft, understanding that this is great for them. This is great for competition in general, because Microsoft is taking Activision Blizzard, taking games that weren't guaranteed on bring your own game streaming services like Nvidia, like Boosteroid, and like Ubisoft, and now they are guaranteed for the next 10 years. So those smaller companies, as well as Nvidia, which is a massive company, they have the ability to continually compete and make more money without having to worry if somebody who buys Call of Duty on Steam won't be able to play it on their streaming service, because the worldwide royalty-free license, I think, is a huge thing. And they've said anybody literally who wants it is going to be getting it. And I think that will have an effect on the CMA. But I will leave that there, guys. Let me know what you think about this article. Let me know what you think about the CMA and what their decision is going to be when it comes to the emerging cloud market, as well as the enforcement of this deal. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.